Hello, I'm Tim. This is Ask SPS. If you want to learn more about policing in Surrey, we will introduce you to not only the people, but also the places and the programs connected to the Surrey Police Service. And today, we're going right to the top. This is the Chief. We're in the Chief's office, Norm Lipinski. 44 years of experience. Norm, 44 years ago, the village people were coming out with YMCA. So you've been around for a minute. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us some time. Now, before we get to what it's like to build an organization from the ground up, I've got a burning question, and I think you might know the burning question. My hometown is Delta.
I know that.
You were the deputy chief in Delta, one of the highest ranking officers, and you left. So why did the chief cross Scott Road?
Well, it's multifactorial, actually. This job serves my temperament in the sense of I've got an MBA, I've got a law degree, I've been around in policing for a long time, and to build something from the ground up is very, very self-actualizing for me. I've thought about it a long time, what would take place, how many people would I need, but putting it all together with the three agencies that I work for, including Delta, which has a strong background in community policing, and then coming here and putting it all into a mixer and having the right people and the board pick me, and so here I am. I'm very happy to be here. It's a lot of work, but it also is very, very satisfying.
Now let's focus on the Surrey side of Scott Road. There are only a few guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and debate about policing in Surrey. But the transition continues, the province has made up its mind, and you are continuing to hire officers, the experienced ones and the ones that are brand new.
Yeah, that's right. We're hiring recruits. They go to the JI, as you may know. We're hiring experienced officers as well. And what we do is we put them through 6 weeks of training because it's so important with different agencies for us to be on the same page. And then we do some training with the RCMP. And that way we're together as one team and serving the citizens of Surrey.
That's 6 weeks of training. How does that compare to other police agencies?
Well, every agency, large agency, has a couple of weeks of training when they take in an experienced officer, and that just makes sense. What we do is expand on that, and the reason is it's about our culture. It's about the way we do things differently here in Surrey Police Service. By way of example, de-escalation is very, very important to me, so we spend a lot of time in teaching de-escalation techniques and actually running our people through scenarios over and over again. And as you can appreciate, that takes time. So we spend a lot of training time with our people, and we also want them to go out and engage the community. I do a lot of that, of course, as the chief, but our people in the front line, when they have time, they go out to the sporting events, etc., say hello to the families, the young people, prospective applicants perhaps, and we have that connection with the business community, with the faith community.
So the transition continues. The police of jurisdiction still is the RCMP, and just to break it down for people, that means you see the RCMP cars. You hear from the RCMP in the media. But Norm, when it comes to the front line for officers, SPS actually makes up about 50% of the front line.
Yes, you raise a couple of good points there, Tim. Number one, it's called POJ, Police of Jurisdiction. So somebody has to be in charge, and under the legislation, there can only be one agency in this geographic location. So making it very simple, the agency that has the most people is in charge. So they will be in charge until we build up and they demobilize, and then when we have more people, we will be in charge. And hence you see the RCMP cars. And then we take it a step at a time as we mobilize more and more and take over more and more of their units. But right now on the front line, it's almost 50% RCMP, Surrey Police Service members. And we work very well with our colleagues on the front line. And we hear from the community that at the end of the day, it's, they look at when they need help, doesn't matter if it's a blue stripe or if it's a gold stripe, but somebody's got to be there. And so we figured out some of the policy issues, we figured out some of the logistics, and it's going very well on the front line.
let's talk about your vision for SPS. Car 67. That is a strategy being used right now. And for those who don't know, this involves a nurse and a police officer working together in a car responding to mental health calls. So in your vision, do you expect Car 67 to continue when SPS is police of jurisdiction, and could it possibly expand?
Yes, that's an important element that I have discussed with the board and my executive teams, and that's the mental health component in society. I view policing as being part of the wellness equation for the community. So not only do we enforce the laws, but we help the community to be well. And in some areas, we need a lot of intensive social services, being able to provide that. We work with them. But Car 67 is interesting because there's such a high demand. And there's been Car 67 for many, many years. And anecdotally, although I don't have the data, if the data supports it, I'd like to have another one. I also think that there's something we could do with our dispatch center. By way of example, perhaps we can have a mental health worker in a dispatch center. So when a call comes in and somebody is despondent, then that mental health worker could potentially try and de-escalate the situation before the officers arrive. You typically have 3-5 minutes before the officer arrives, and so that may be helpful and bring it to a successful, safe conclusion for everybody.
44 years of experience, of course. So aside from being the chief of SPS, what else would be a career highlight in your 44 years?
Oh, there's been many. A career highlight was, going back to October 2nd, 1978. That's when I got on the job for Edmonton, and that was a really, really great moment for me. I still remember it. But going through my career, there's been many moments. I worked in forensics, and that means I was the person that went to homicide scenes and all scenes, but particularly homicides. And the homicide people would be looking at me and say, "They have nothing. Give me something, Norm." So finding a fingerprint at a homicide scene and having that validated through other techniques that this person was arrested because of that, and I was the key person in there, that's why I joined the job. I'm here for the underdog sometimes, but for the victim, I'm here for the community. That was a great moment. Leading teams. When I was in Edmonton, I was in training section, and training people, leading the team, putting all my energy into building the best police officer I can was very, very self-actualizing for me. I was on the ERT team for a number of years. There's another one where I was a sergeant, I was a training sergeant, I was a duty officer on the street. Again, it's leading the teams. I'm happy to say that most of my career has been in uniform, and I'm proud of that. People always ask me, like, are you having fun? And I have to say, we have moments of humor here. We have moments of laughter and celebration. We have milestones and so forth. But more than that, it's very satisfying to me to start something from the ground up that I believe in, that I believe will be the best for this city. And our goal is to be a top-tier organization, major city top-tier organization in Canada. And we want other agencies down the road. My vision is that other police leaders, other police organizations or boards look at us and say, hey, we want to be like them. That's where I want to go.
Absolutely. You have the experience and the perspective from different places and in different units. Just one final question for you. Let's end with maybe a moment of hilarity. Oilers or Canucks?
Oilers, definitely. And I'll tell you why. I was there during the heydays of the Oilers, and I really, really enjoyed it. There was so much energy in the city. There was so much support for the Oilers. And I have to mention Wayne Gretzky, because Wayne Gretzky was a great hockey player, of course, but he was a fine gentleman. He was a great police supporter. Wherever he went, if there was a police officer standing there directing traffic or standing at the doorway, he'd go up and say hello. And I was that guy a number of times. And he was just such a warm person, outgoing person. He gave us, the police service of Edmonton, hockey sticks, which we auctioned off to give money to Cops for Cancer, etc. He was a great, great human being. So winning those Stanley Cups, at the time was called, they were called the Edmonton Eskimos, winning the Grey Cups and so forth. That was a heyday. So from a sports perspective, I'm still with Edmonton.
Fair enough. All right, Norm, thank you so much for your time. This is the Chief of Police with the Surrey Police Service, Norm Lipinski, joining us on Ask SPS. If you want more information, go online to surreypolice.ca. For Ask SPS, I'm Tim James.